Welcome back to Jay's Fish. Today we're going to go over 5 beginner mistakes that you can avoid in your next tank. Let's get it. The first mistake is not adding live plants to your aquarium. Live plants can be a really good way to help your aquarium thrive, as most plants, as if you get something that feeds from the water column, not necessarily from the substrate, it pulls up all the nasties in the water, such as ammonia, nitrate, and nitrite. I use lots of different plants, and I try to mix it up, as I have these root feeding plants, such as like this Amazon sword, or if you want to go some more water column, moss, as moss is a really good one, as it gets nice, big, and fluffy. Fry can hide in there. If you have shrimp love it. Or I have this right here. This is my dwarf water lettuce. These roots are going to get a lot longer, and they're just going to spread out around the tank, and they feed from the water column, and they have access, because they're floating, they have access to the CO2, so they grow so fast. If you want to change up the type of plants, you can get some house plants. These are golden pothos. I washed them off, all the roots off of all the dirt, and I put it in the water, and I attached it to my driftwood, and the roots are just going to be in the water, and the roots love it. You don't have to worry about root rot or anything. The pothos love aquarium water, and the fish are going to love the extra coverage. Tip number 2 is something that I struggle with as well, but it's making sure your tank is cycled. Tank cycling can take a week, 2, but the longer the better, because that means the bacteria in your tank that's colonizing, that's going to be feeding off all the nasties in the water, it takes some time to reproduce, and the more time you give them, the better your tank is going to be. So right here I have sponge filters that are cycling my tank, and these are doing really well. I love sponge filters as they're super cheap to operate and use and all that. You don't have to worry about anything extra except an air pump and some tubing, as you can see right here, because I have it attached right here. But you can get hang on the back, canisters, sumps. You can do lots and lots of different things. But also, when you are cycling your tank, you could be putting plants in there, and the plants can start growing. Mistake number 3 is going to be not choosing the right stocking. So you can't choose like African cichlids and put them with angelfish. The African cichlids are going to bully the angelfish. You shouldn't be putting like an Oscar with like neon tetras. You got to make the stocking make sense. If you're too scared that, something's going to bully something else, you can also go for a species only tank, as this is my Endler growing out tank, or grow out tank, my bad. And these guys are thriving, as there's no predators, there's tons of cover, so these Endlers are going to keep on breeding, keep on reproducing, and I can start doing my really high grade Endler line. But species only doesn't have to be only species, as you can also add cleanup crews such as snails, shrimp, or I think there's my pleco somewhere right there. Yeah, I have like a really nice pleco, and you can also add a cleanup crew, and that's going to help your tank thrive as well. Tip number 4 is a really crucial one, in my opinion, is that you're not treating your water. So when you pull the water out of the tap, it can have these heavy metals such as chloramine or chloramine, something like that. It's something to do with chlorine, and something how the water is treated by the town or city that you're in. And if you have well water, that's something way different. But what I like to do is have a container full of water. Let me show that right now. So I have this right underneath my table, and this is just full of water. And I put prime in there, so all the heavy metals are going to be dissolved by the prime, and the longer you have it sit, the more of the heavy stuff that's not so good for the fish is going to go away. I put stability in there to kind of have some sort of biologicalness to the water, and I've been using that to refill my tanks. So when you do water changes or setting up a new tank, I usually let the water set 24 to 48 hours, 1 to 2 days. And in my opinion, the water quality for the fish and just how the fish act, they just like it a lot better. They just seem a lot more active right out the get-go, especially when you set up a new tank. And yeah, in my opinion, that's just one of the really crucial things that people should do. So I'm not sponsored by them, but shoot, anybody, Fluvol, Seachem, anybody wanna sponsor, you know, an up and coming, you know, fish YouTuber, please hit me up. I would definitely love some sponsorships. But if you like the video, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment any tips, advice for other fish keepers. Me, you know, I love to learn. There's just so much knowledge in the world, and honestly, no one's perfect, and I want to get it so good. I want to be so good at this stuff that I just want to be the goat. I want to be the goat of fish keeping, and I just love learning. So please comment your advice down below. But since, like I was saying, I'm not sponsored, I use Seachem products. They're relatively really easy to get. They're at my box stores. I go to Petco. It's the only fish store in my area, unless I'm trying to drive like an hour. I'm really not. So, especially for like 4 or 5 neon tetras, you know, for a new tank. I'm not about to do that. But I have stability. I put that in there, and then I use Prime. This is the heavy hitter one. If you are to only get one, get Prime. This one is it removes the chlorine and chloramine and detoxifies ammonia, nitrate, and nitrite in your water. Pretty much, it just makes the water a lot safer for the fish, and it just makes them thrive a lot better. Yeah, especially after water changes like this one. All these are really young fry, and all of them, you know, I feed them a lot too, so I do lots of water changes. So the water that's been sitting there for a day at least helps these fish not pass during the like 2-3 water changes a week. For the final tip number 5, we are going to be talking about letting your tank be. I'm the type of person that always likes my fingers, always likes to be moving, making things better in my fish tank. To be honest, I overmanage my fish tanks, and I had to learn some patience and had to learn to let my tank be. If you're running a super crazy system, like I'm gonna be adding CO2 to this in the next 30 days for this tank. I'm doing that video. I'm adding CO2 to it. So like yeah, unless you're adding CO2, like you really don't need to touch it. Plants need to grow, things need to settle down, you know, so don't worry too much that plants aren't growing. It's just because in my opinion, plants get shocked when you bring them home. It's totally different waters, totally different substrate and soil and nutrients, and they kind of have to think about it, be like, this is something different, let me try it. And like in this tank, it didn't go so well. A lot of these plants did not survive, and what I had to do was pull them out and plant new ones. So when I was setting up this tank, as you can see, like all the plants are dead. I just need to do a little bit better with that. All of this wood was covered in biofilm and like this white stuff. It was not nice to look at. I didn't know if it was dangerous. I just had no idea. And what I did was let the tank be. I let the tank be for 2 to 3 weeks before adding some of my fish, more expensive fish that I actually like. Because like, yeah, these endlers, I got a factory going. So yeah, so with this, I just let the tank be, and slowly by slowly, the biofilm is going away. The pleco is, you know, eating the wood. It's eating all the weird, nasty stuff that's growing on it. There's snails in the tank. The snails are eating all of that stuff. And honestly, the tank is turning out to be a lot better. Another example of letting your tank be. So with this tank, I have not touched it. I have maybe touched the substrate a little bit just to make it look a little bit nicer. The German blue rams kind of messed it up when I had them in quarantine here. They kept digging holes. So I fixed it up, made it look a little bit neater, but essentially I have to let all these plants go. These are gonna start sprouting around, start rooting crazy amount all over the tank, and honestly, the best thing to do is just to leave them alone. And a simple rule to follow for plants is that you have 1 to 2 weeks to move them before you don't move them at all. These plants have been going for a month, and I'm not touching them. They're staying in these exact same positions, and honestly, they haven't died, they haven't fallen back, so I'm praying, I'm hoping. That does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching the entire video through. If you learned anything, please like and subscribe. If you have any advice for other aquarium keepers, please comment it down below. I'm going to be looking at it. I always love to learn. I always like to hear the different types of aquarium keepers, because a lot of them are more ingenuous and they're more creative, when it comes to fish keeping. So please stay tuned for a lot of DIY, a lot of cheap, budget-friendly stuff, and yeah, just stay tuned for more content. Thank you so much for watching.